Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome. It's time for round 7 and the second part of Super Sunday here on Apex Racing TV. It's time for the Ford Spec racers to take to the track, and as we head from North America and Lexington, Mid-Ohio, earlier on in the Formula Fords, made the short trip, I say, down to South America, Brazil, the Autodrome Jose Carlos Pace. Of course, we all know that as Interlagos. I am Tim Cox. We've got Lewis and Ryan, as always, working the magic in the background. Tom Dillon now joins me. Tom, oh, Tom, you're in for a treat. This is always a delight when the Ford Spec races come here as part of the Weekend Warriors Tour.
It is, and well, I see we're also running the Grand Prix layouts of Interlagos. I have to say, slightly hoping that we get a league that eventually runs the Cafe Chicane, Tim. But regardless, I am happy to be here. I love Interlagos. It's one of the best tracks on the Formula 1 calendar. It's one of the best tracks on the racing calendar, and usually lends itself to pretty much any type of racing.
Exactly. We love it. Drivers love it. I know from one of my friends who works for one of the top Formula 1 teams, the mechanics, etc. They don't like it. The pit facilities are really primitive, old school, crumbling away a little bit, and well, it's not necessarily the safest on your commute from the hotel to the track. However, it always delivers, no matter what you drive here. Before we get underway with the proceedings for this evening, let's just head across into the championship standings. First off, it's Spec 1, and Marco Panero, well, would it be any different? He leads the way, 599 points. Nearly at that magic 100 ahead of Jason Green. Megan Overstreet lies in third. It's Lasky in fourth, not too far behind Overstreet, in fact. Bradford Gould, he's having a season to remember, lying in fifth at the moment. And Welker of Evandro Dantas. Isuzel, he's only taken in 5 races this season. That Millicom demoting how many rounds we've been to. Round 7 tonight. With our top 6 obviously all being here for every single round so far. Claudia Andrea, Mayer, and Wood going to round out the top 10 there. Across into Spec 2 now. And Alan McCain, well, last time out of Fuji, he picked up a 3rd overall. And of course, he do so winning in class. And that's why he leads the way over Philip Berry. Ken Batley, he lies in 3rd, having been a little bit higher up earlier on. Josh Justice, one to watch out for. I've taken part in 5 rounds so far, but lies 4th in the championship. Jeff Wibker, who's taken part in all 6. Then we've got Gibson in 6th with Jackson Vaglini Vogel and Trenton Kramer rounding out the top 10 there. All very close in these latter stages of the top 10. Into Masters, well, this is delivering. Pound for pound, turning out to be the best. And look at how tight the point spread is here. Nearly 100 points between top and second in Spec 1. It's 150 difference, covering, well, pretty much 9th Gary Walbol all the way up to Tom Gradwell, who leads the way ahead of Stephen Mitchell, Brad Cathcart. 3 names you haven't really seen at the top of the standings so far. Well, Jim Brewster would be higher up if he had have been with us last time out at Fuji. He does return tonight, though. I do know that. So Yogmani is 5th. They've got Longin, Nunes, Race, Warble, and Kern.
Well, 3 separate championships, all with very interesting battles going on, aren't they? And well, we can go down to the track and we can see that it's Evandro Dantas who is right now on pole position, 146.3, only a 10th of a second faster than Mayo. It's nice to see Murakami up in 3rd. He again is only about a 10th of a second behind Dantas, and well, that is going to get very interesting indeed. Our top 2 on an outlap at the moment. I think this this battle for pole position is going to chop and change.
I think you're absolutely spot on there, Tom. Absolutely spot on, and I'm really looking forward to this one. It's always great racing. Never fails to deliver whatsoever, and I think qualifying is going to be definitely spicy and one to watch out for, though not necessarily, you know, the definitive part of the race event. Well, it's just showing. Marco Paneri has been so dominant, but at the moment lies 5th, 3rd row of the grid, sharing that provisionally with 2nd in class. It's Jorg Marni. Top of Spec 2 in terms of qualifying, that lies with Alan McCain. Obviously, as mentioned earlier on, 3rd overall last time out. Different paint job as well for this weekend, if my paints have updated correctly. And, well, of course, that class win. Leads in class at the moment. Phil Berry, though, is not too far behind in 21st, and only about a couple of attempts difference in time. The track is looking pretty packed out there. We've got 6 drivers taking part in qualifying, but they all seem to be pretty much congested into 2, maybe 3 clusters right now. So I'm looking at the track map in the top right corner of our screen.
2 or 3 clusters indeed, and that is going to be working in the favour of the number 40 car, who we can see is going down into turn 1 now. Nice clear track ahead of him. That number 40 trying to look down my timing tower actually here to see who bears that number 40, and I can tell you that it seems to be absolutely nowhere. So I'm sure we'll figure that out in a moment, but I'll be interested to see how he stacks up compared to everyone else. Phil Berry as well, he's in a pretty nice spot because there's not too many cars directly ahead of him. He's got a nice clear track ahead of him. Looking behind him, that is where the real concern is, but the Australian getting a chance to set down a pretty nice lap time at the moment. 1:46 lap, that's of a reasonable length with 4 minutes to go, so I imagine if you're going to want to get out onto the track for your final runs, it's going to be about now.
Talking of those runs, Chris Murakami, you can see I tell you what, he's on a cracker at the moment. Well, overall, you know, just heading into the pits now, back into the pit exit, trying to squeeze on an out lap and another flying lap before the checkered flag flies in qualifying. But currently, as it stands, 3rd overall, 2nd row of the grid. I believe that would be his best ever qualifying in the weekend Warriors as everyone checks up, trying to park the car. Well, front that line was, would have been, and I had a really, really good point because it led on ever so nicely to what I was going to say next. It was going to flow absolutely beautifully. It's one of the Texaco by TK drivers, and I'm trying to think who it was. It wasn't Dantas. It's number 1 Brazilian. Anyway, great to know we've got so many Brazilians right at the front of the grid, and also, well, I suppose we can lead into it nicely. Of course, ESL R1 at Games 8 on this weekend. Started last season when Gustavo Ariel rocked up, and he was taking part in that this weekend. And also, delving deep into the history books of Weekend Warriors, one Jamie Fluke. And also, be slightly biased about Apex Racing Team, Warren. Congratulations, Kevin Ennis Jr., picking up your first win in an ESL R1 event. There's Kurt Nunes. Driver. Oh, he's a bit down in qualifying, isn't he, Tom?
Oh, and he's a bit into the wall as well, Tim.
Oh, there we go. Well, it's definitely going to struggle. Ooh. He'll get out again.
Get back out, yeah.
Yeah,
one more run, I think.
Yeah, just about by the time, because it's a long lap here by this series standards, 1 minute 46 is pole time, averaging around about the 1 minute 47s for the vast majority of our drivers. So, there's Chavaglini. Where is he? Well, he's really, really down by his standards. The Italian, 44th at the moment. Not really set a true flying lap. His best time of 151.99. So let's go to 152. Bradford Gould in front of him is a 149.59. So about a second and a half faster. Jason Green improved. He's well down. He's down in 12th. There's a lot of people out in position, I'd say, by qualifying standards.
I was just thinking that, actually, and I was going to bring up the point of Hjorg, Marnie, and Megan Overstreet, as a matter of fact. She was quite far down the order, recovers back to 10th, and Hjorg has got himself back up to 6th. So a slightly shaken up order, though. If you think about it, perhaps that's not to be unexpected at this stage in qualifying, because we're a very different racetrack to what we've raced over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, Fuji last week is a very big racetrack, but we've also been racing at a lot of very small tracks, haven't we? So actually, the driving style of a proper Grand Prix circuit like this one is going to be slightly different. I suppose it will lend itself to a few of our drivers that perhaps we aren't used to seeing. For example, Pinheiro. I don't often see him, that's Pinheiro, not Panero. I don't often see him sat up in 4th. So it's nice to see that we've got a few people who perhaps we wouldn't expect to be normally seeing.
Well, he's Brazilian. He should be going rightly so well at his home race, and also got a Brazilian on pole in the form of Vandro Dantas. There it was, Carlos Barreto. That was the Texaco Racing by TK driver who I clocked earlier and couldn't quite work out who it was. As it's normally Dudu Castro, who proudly wears that livery in the Weekend Warriors. There is he, right behind. There we go. So it wasn't a million miles off. But so there we go. We've got 4 Brazilians in the top 8. 50% ratio. I think that's a good ratio.
Yeah, I mean, pretty decent ratio. If you do 50-50, you're about where you want to be. Chris Murakami is in 3rd, leading the Masters at the moment. Very cute dog on the profile picture as well there for Chris in the 901 car. This is an outlap from Murakami, and in fact, he's missed the checker. He's going to take the checker flag, so he's missed a chance to do one more lap. There's a car off in the background, yellow bodywork flying absolutely everywhere. And, well, Chris Murakami, as he goes through that final corner, it isn't really going to be much for him because he's not on a timed lap.
So I think that might have been Barreto there, just stuck it in the wall as Murakami flew past. What is he going to achieve? Is he going to go faster than 3rd? Where he currently lies. It's only... Oh, well, no, he's bailed into the pits. Well, I mean, it was slim margins anyway between himself and Simon Mayer, who said, I think that's going to be his best ever qualifying. I'll tell you what, there's quite a few people who've had their best ever qualifying so far. And then equally, there's a lot of people out of position. Antonio raced well down. He's all the way down in 21st. That's really far down by his standards. There's Adam McCain. He's done with qualifying. That's the traditional way. Stick it in the wall. See a less play, but another driver well down, Tom, all the way down in 18th. So, I mean, I say this though. I was sort of mulling it over while I was mentioning it earlier. It's that top 20 is stacked with high caliber drivers in these cars. Just look at the names. I mean, the fact Marco Panero will start 3rd row of the grid, you know, it's no surprise that we've got a few people, I say inverted commas, out of position. I mean, are they really though? I mean, it's astounding, some of the I ratings up in that top 20. It's no wonder why they've not made it in some ways.
Yes, and I always take iRating with a little bit of a grain of salt because I think it's not necessarily a perfect measure of skill. We've got your qualifying results for you in a moment, but I think as a general rule, the grid that we have here across the entirety of the league, not just specifically SRF Weekend Warriors, but they are some incredible drivers, and they are really, really well-run events. I mean, a lot of these guys would probably find themselves quite far up the order in most other leagues. It's just a shame that there's a lot of really good people in one grid that stops some of them getting right up there. But I believe we'll have the qualifying results, and well, let's see just where each of these high-class drivers have stuck themselves on the grid.
Just remind me, Tom, how does the skill-based matchmaking work in R Factor 2, your favourite sim? Oh, that's right. The answer is because it doesn't have one, my friend. That's why. There we go. And there we go. Well, look, here's the grid. So he could completely shut him off. I love you, Tom, really, honestly. Evandro Dantas, Brazilian on pole. Would he had it any other way? No, he's joined by Simon Met on the front row. Row 2, Murakami. He's joined by another Brazilian. It's Leandro Piero. Marco Pinero, he starts from row 3 with Jorg Mane, Dudu Castro, Carlos Barreto. An old Brazilian row 4. Your top 10, it's all American row. It's Aidan Campbell and Megan Overstreet, Tom.
And, well, Andrea Favini is in 11th position, Jason Green in 12th. And then it's Bobby West and Fabio Scali on row 7. Going on to our next page of results then, row 8 is Flavio Indalo and Paolo Gori. Kane J. Lasky starts down in 17th position alongside Alice Plaver on row 9. It's then Andrew Love and Tom Gradwell making up an All-Masters row 10.
Row 11 sees Antonio Race and Alan McCain, two stalwarts of this series. They got Jim Brewster and Jeff Fritcher, another All-American row, making up row 12. Row 13 sees Phil Very and Brad Cathcart, the two Aussies, on board for this one. Michael Nelson and Chris Montgomery make up row 14, with row 15 your top 30. Another All-American row, it's Josh Justice and Kurt Nunes.
And then in 31st position is Ken Bately and Ian Gibson in 32nd. It's Caleb Pocock and Jesus A. Rodriguez in 34th and 33rd. Lucas Clements and Dan Wood make up row 18 with Stephen Mitchell and Jeff Rubka rounding out. Oh, not rounding out your grid, you've got more. Pop Gurn is in, Adam Bradshaw is in 39th and Aaron Vogley in 40th. And then actually, I'll just go through these last results because there's only a couple more. Bob Kern, Gianni Longini, George Camillo, Bradford Gould, Michael Valghini, and Charlie Vaccaro rounding out the grid. That took me by surprise. 46 drivers, Tim. I mean, 60 at Le Mans, most I've ever seen on a racetrack, and that was in the real world. But 46 on a track like Interlagos, I mean, that is just mind-blowing.
We've the crazy thing is, we've had bigger. And that's just the weekend warriors all over. So they head off behind the Porsche 911 safety cars. Have a quick mention to two sponsors for the series. These are long-standing Race Voice. Of course, we are presented by Race Voice. It's a simple way to transform complicated performance data into easy understand voice notifications and alerts with over 16 different notifications, including up and down shift, over rev alert, corner entry, turn in and exit speed. It provides immediate feedback on driver and vehicle performance. You can find out more by heading across to racevoice.com. And then we've got Apex Racing Academy with 29 data packs, including setups and track guides, also integration with VRS, a virtual racing school given by their long name. They also provide weekly group coaching sessions and one-on-one coaching sessions, as well as much, much more. Make sure you check out that. Well, just clear my throat. I'm ready for what's going to be an epic 40 minutes of racing ahead of us here on Apex Racing TV. Evandro Dantas, the Brazilian, controls the pace as they head around towards the swooping kinks of the start-finish straight. Safety car going to pull in right at the last second, as it always does in this track. And then we'll be going racing. Of course, there will be a pit stop. The drivers do have one fast repair to their name to utilise. Will they have to use it? Wow. Let's find out. Let's get ready to go racing from Interlagos as we are green and we are go. And I'm not sure if that's going to be a jump start there from Carlos Barreto, sweeping around the outside at 4 places already. Going to try and get up into second, but there's contact between him and Simon Mary. He holds on to it. Murakami up into second. These early stages. Pinero through and all. There's a big incident in the background, Tom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All there's even more involved now.
Yes, I didn't quite see that incident, but that jump start, I think it's certainly a jump start. He made up positions before the line. I don't think that is looked on too kindly, but there is bodywork flying over the track on the right-hand side, as we can see some of our affected drivers making their way up through what it is turn 4, the Hamilton Verstappen corner around Interlagos. Number 5 car is looking for a move on the 925 down the inside into the right-hander of turn 6, but not quite able to find the spot just yet. Halfway round the first lap, normally about time, I would be saying relatively clean start, but I think actually that was pretty manic out of turn 1.
Yeah, caught up in that one. Oh, is that someone else around?
Maya.
Who is that? Oh, no, Simon Mayer after that great start. Fitcher's just running a bit wide. Oh, Simon Mayer, it's all gone wrong for him. Qualified on the front row as he descends down the order. 38, I think
Oh, there's another car off on the right-hand side. That's Jeff Rupke.
And caught up in that first corner incident was Aidan Campbell and Jim Brewster. They hopped straight to the pits. Dan Woods had an issue as well. He's hopped into the pits too. That's gutting for Brewster's championship aspirations in Masters. That championship is wide open coming into round 7 here at Interlagos, but it's come round to complete lap 1. Evandro Dantas leads the way, but maybe not. Here comes Chris Murakami storming around the outside. Is he going to take the lead? Surely he's going to be there first. Onto the brakes, into turn 1. But Dantas says, no, you're not having it easy. You're not having it your way. This is my home race. I want to win this. And now Murakami, the meat in a Brazilian sandwich. Pinheiro up 1 place, and he's right behind him. Marco Pinheiro, he's up 1-2. He's in this fight. Marnie there too. I tell you what, this battle goes all the way down to, well, including Judo Castro in 6th. And then it's the best of the rest being led by Megan Overstreet as we come down into Ciudad del Lago. Onto the brakes, running a bit wide. There goes Pinheiro. Oh, Pinheiro. Gonna have to find an easy way. We've got Pinheiro and Panero. As you said earlier, Tom, it's 2 very similar names, written very differently, 2 very different languages, but they are 3rd and 4th right now.
Well, it's probably about the best way to describe the confusion myself. It wouldn't be so bad if they weren't right next to each other. Maybe you just have to start referring to them as exclusively car numbers. Murakami now, how does he play this? Does he dive down the inside of the 32 car when he gets the chance, or is he going to try and play a bit of a fuel-saving gain? Evandro Dantas at his home track here in Interlagos. Well, home track relative to the rest of our calendar here at the SRF Weekend Warriors going through that final corner here at Interlagos turn 12. I say final corner, technically speaking, the rest of these little kinks are corners down the back straight, but not really having to turn the wheel too much for them. Dantas is holding on at the moment. There's a little bit of pressure from Pinheiro on Murakami as they go down into turn 1. It's going to be Murakami who goes down the inside now, around the outside of Evandro Dantas, because Dantas had to get out of the throttle for a moment with 3 wide, almost 4 wide. Down into the centre, S's Dantas holds the lead. Pinheiro is going to sneak one through on Murakami. There's a car off almost. The 16 gets through. Murakami in the 901 has to set up a 3rd, and there's a crash behind. Castro's involved. Jorg Marnie's involved, I believe. In fact, it's Marnie and Pinheiro, excuse me. Castro is not involved, and Jorg Marnie's pretty torrid look this season is continuing. Battle for the lead, though, and Pinheiro is going to think against it. These two now, I would assume, running line of stern.
So we look down the Retro-Aposta there, though, Tom. Look who's in 5th. It's one Antonio Rice. Oh, there we go. It's all changed at the front. Yeah, but Antonio Rice, he's up 16 places into 5th. He's had an epic start, but this top 4...
Well, Pinheiro holds on to that lead at the moment, and that lead he's only just got. Hello, Simon Mayer. Welcome to the chat. Says nice start there. Thank you for watching along, although I presumed you'd be perhaps preoccupied with driving at this stage of proceedings, as we see Marco Pinheiro trying to build a little bit of a lead. This is the problem. If you're going to get a lead in these races, you need to be able to extend out of slipstream range. Slipstream being so powerful here around, well, not just this racetrack, but pretty much every track that we go to. There is a mistake. That time it's from Murakami, and Castro is going to slide through in the 73 car. So that is a big move for him, and a place in 3rd position. I can tell you now, Tim, the Brazilians absolutely love this track.
They do. So they rightly should do. It's an epic track, but amazingly, look at that. Our top 2 are well clear already. So we don't tend to see in this championship too much But what's happened? Castro and Murakami are now backed right up into that chasing pack behind. Antonio Rice has led the charge for them, and he's now brought them all in tow. Barretto, West, Overstreet, Green, Lasky, Gory, Scarly, Plaver, and Darlow and Fritcher all in tow there.
And, well, that was a pretty manic start, wasn't it? And I think we're going to have a little bit of a look at what's happened, Tim. I mean, this was just insane down into turn 1, 3-4 wide. That car on the outside line was what I was really having a look at, because I definitely think that there was a jump start through all of that, and then just 3, 4, 5 cars getting themselves all tangled over each other and spinning out of the center S's.
It was all compact. It all just ended in tears, didn't it? Jim Brewster, one of the big casualties out of that one. Campbell, Favini, Yogmani, Simon Mayer had an incident later on as well. But there were some big gainers out of it. And on Vogelay, he's up 19, your highest position climber. Up into 21st, having started back in 40th. Astounding stuff. So we've got another replay. So this is what happened to Yogmani, where they went 3 wide into turn 1. Always a bit dicey. Well, he just got on the right-hand side of him was Pinheiro. And they just all tangled together, and gutting we lost those two out of the equation. And, well, spinned it out of the front a little bit for now. But this battle we've got for the last place on the podium is epic, and they go 3 wide into turn 1 once again. Antonio Race on the inside, Murakami in the middle, and all this contact, and oh no, Race around Murakami caught up, and I think was that Bobby West as well. Had to check up too, and Antonio Race, after his epic start, drops down to 14th, make that 15th in fact.
Well, it all seemed rather avoidable, didn't it? And I'm afraid to say it ends in disaster for these guys who will still battle on. The good thing is that the train is so close that, well, battles are still possible even if you have a little bit of a spin. We just see a change of position in the background. Just to update you, Alan McCain, he holds the lead of the Spec 2 race. He is having a battle now with that 909 car. I believe the 909 car did just overtake him. So here goes McCain looking back up the inside. Won't quite gain that spot just yet though. Marco Pinheiro still leads. This time he's got 0.4 of a second to Dantas, and much like we saw in that last race, we have got a breakaway pack.
We have indeed, and well, it's Pinheiro and Dantas sailing off into the distance here in Interlagos. There they are. I love the sound as you hit those little square concrete patches. Oh, Evandro Dantas. Oh, finding some of those square concrete patches in amongst the grass, which provides so much grip and that unique rumble. And runs wide. And is this now Marco Pinheiro's chance to put some distance between himself and the Brazilian and carry his way to victory? Look at that now. Top 4 is Pinheiro versus 3 Brazilians in Dantas, Barretto, and Castro.
Castro holds on to 4th at the moment, but he's going to try and attack for 3rd. Barretto just ahead of him in that 99 car, and he might get a run out of the second center S here, and in fact he's going to do exactly that in the slipstream price. Oh no, what's happened there? All over the curb, and he just seems to have magically stopped. I've never seen an incident like that before. The 909 has to take to the grass, so does the 89, and wow, he just was on the curb and then he almost just stopped.
Wow, how did he... I'm fascinated to watch this replay, Tom, because did he just lose it by himself? Oh, he got the pace, and oh, it was the tiniest of contact, but it was just enough to unsettle the car, where he got all loaded up on the rear, and then that bit of contact just checked up and caused the rear to go light for Castro, and around he went. It's all Antonio Race having a look at the interval, that was ambitious, and it did not come off whatsoever. Jeff Scripture carries on, and it goes bad to worse for Antonio Race. Amazing, he's up 2 places from where he started in 21st, down to 19th now.
Well, anytime you're in the positive positions at the end of a race, it's been a good race, no matter what happens throughout the course of that race. This is Kane J. Lasky. He didn't qualify particularly well by his high standards, has been fighting for wins for pretty much the majority of this season, but he's now up to 6th. Good start for him, but he's under pressure now from Gory, Paolo Gory, who sits in 7th position and should get this move as a bit of a regulation pass down the straight. The Spec Razor falls with such high power on the slipstream as Barreto comes into the pit lane that, well, when you get alongside, you're pretty much guaranteed to get ahead, and that's exactly what happens here for Gory. Lasky not able to come back at him under the brakes as you may have expected, so they're going to have to do a little bit of ping-ponging for the time being.
They are indeed. Well, I talked about people being out of position at the start of this, and that top 20 being really stacked in terms of quality drivers. It's now allowed Paolo Gory and Lasky to climb 11 places up inside that, well, both of them inside the top 6, albeit just as further down the field now. Gianni Longin's got a bit of a queue forming behind him. Bob Kern, Charlie Vigaro, Andrew Love, all in this little battle right now that's happening over 26th place. Love a little bit out of position. These three all Masters drivers vying for 8th place in class right now. As we head down towards the Interlagos on the brakes, you can see there Bob Kern just playing defensive game right now as Charlie Ficaro looking fully in attack mode and really laser focused, trying to find a way past. He's not going to get it done here. Backs out of it. Is it going to force a mistake? You can see Kern as well. He cut it off, carried maybe a little bit too much speed, a bit wiggly there. Got away with it, lives to fight another day. I think, realistically, Vicaro needs to just bide his time here, Tom, and wait for that long, long run. Out of Junkel, down to turn 1, the center S's, and get the move done there. Oh, no, that is around. That's Gianni Longin. Oh, no.
Oh, he was having a good run, wasn't he? And maybe not so much right now. That's 30th position for Gianni Longin. Did really actually, well, he didn't qualify particularly well, did he? This is Michel Faglini, and that is not a great deal of bodywork on the front of that race car. I have to say I've seen more healthy looking machines. Well, cooling is going to be pretty nice, handling maybe not so much on that machine. I wonder what happened to the 319.
Oh, these two have gone. I tell you what, Dantas, he dropped course back after that slight mistake coming out of Junkel. And he was just on the cusp of being a second behind Panero. Well, it's closed that gap up just while we've been looking at all the drama and excitement that's been going on behind these two. Now that gap's back down to 3 tenths. Dantas is back in the fight. And he's not letting Marco Panero get away from him whatsoever. I mean, they're really, really dropping the group behind that's being led currently by Jason Green. So Green last time around, Tom, literally won 100th off 148. Whereas these two, 147.2 for Dantas and a 147.6 for Panero. Now, traffic-wise, let's have a bit of a look as they come down the start-finish straight in this area. We'll get a bit more of a better view. Yeah, they're going to come up on a bit of traffic and just trying to have a look who that's going to be. I think that's going to be Andrea Favini as Panero dips out here. I think, do you think he's trying to fuel save his way around there? He's saying, do you know what, Vandre? Go on by. I want to fuel save this one. I'm going to sit behind you and just let you do all the hard work, create the hole in the air, and I'm just going to win this on fuel.
It's a risky strategy because you can sit behind all race and then all of a sudden, when time comes to attack, you can't find the attack. But I think you're so fast out of the second center S here that Evandro Dantas is pretty much going to be overtaken, whether he likes it or not. And Panero is going to do the overtaking, whether he likes it or not. And Dantas lets him through. So this could actually be pretty tactical, as that is a slightly comical sight, isn't it? The 319 still struggling along. We'll have to get that repaired at the stop, I would imagine. Interesting, there's no black and orange technical flag for that, actually. But the 32 is back into second spot. Panero leads once again. And yeah, I think they're just going to be switching positions for the foreseeable future, Tim.
I think because it's purely bodywork, that's why he's getting away with it. So, oh no, we're seeing a replay of Alan McCain here, the 2-1-2. So he's up the inside there, and he loses the rear, getting the move done. And in doing so, he's lost the lead in Spec to Fabio Scarli. No holds that. And in fact, yes, it's pointing in the wrong direction on the inside there. The Reto Aposta, sorry, the Cesar del Lago, not where you want to be. And that is why he has dropped all the way down to 23rd and 6th in class, Tom. Last week, a great result on the podium overall, the class win. And this week, it's not going to be that. It's a hard, long day at the office for McCain.
Well, he can call it a bit of an off day, can't he? He's done enough work to afford that over the last couple of days, but a couple of weeks, I should say. But Chris Montgomery, what an opportunity for him! 3 seconds to the lead of the second place in the Spec 2 category, so he's got a real chance. Who's this battling? KJ Lasky looking to go around the outside of Megan Overstreet. Will try and find the space. The 319 trying to get out of the way, does do so. Good driving from him, and Lasky will get a run hit on Megan Overstreet in that 44 car. The number 9, what can he do? We'll look to the outside here. Overstreet just about gives him the room. There's so much understeer in that Spec Racer Ford at the moment, and Lasky can't quite find the way around the outside. It was smart to back out of that, because I think if he hadn't, as Alan McCain, by the way, is coming to pit lane, that might just be his day done as we approach it half distance in this race. But smart. There was not a lot of space, and I don't think Megan Overstreet particularly saw him either, so...
I'll tell you, I did spot off camera. I just saw the change in the standings a little while ago. Probably about half a lap ago, Paolo Gori got past Overstreet. Well, he's really started to open up some fresh air. And in fact, he's staying on the coattails of Jason Green in front of them. So Gori, you know, he's not a bad driver, but he's having an absolute field day today. 12 places into 4th. One of the, well, I would say one of the highest place claimers, but not a patch on some of them. Brazilian George Camillo, he's up 26. He's your highest climber. There he is in 17th. I mean, he literally started right at the back of the grid pretty much, didn't he, in the 333 machine? So that is an astounding result. Behind him is Carlos Baressa, who we saw, well, we think he got a bit of a jump at the start, and well, I think that's why he's all the way back in 10th. I think he got caught up in another incident too, didn't he? Was he involved in part of the Jorgmani incident? Sal Vogel behind him. He's up 21. I tell you what, this is really stacked around this point because it's all people up at lots of places. You also got Bradford Gould is at 23. Charlotte Vicar is at 24. There's a bit of bump drafting for good measure going on between Bobby West and Les Plaver. And also, Gori as well. He's ahead of Green now. He's really not hanging around.
Well, they need to work together here. If this was a kart race, he'd be doing the old point forward over the shoulders so that Green knows to not really battle him here. They need to find a bit of pace to catch up to Dantas and Pinero, who are in that breakaway pack and have been gaining slowly but surely over these two. Looking at the best lap times, Jason Green actually faster than our leading pair. In fact, Jason Green faster than everyone ahead of him on the racetrack and most people behind him. He's one of 2 drivers, from what I can see, in the 46s. The other one being Megan Overstreet. Only just Megan Overstreet. Jason Green slightly faster with a 146.8, his best lap of the race. So Green knows here he's got the he's got the speed, but the question is whether he's going to have the tactics to try and catch back up to that leading pair.
All so close. Pretty much no sale, aren't they, for that best of the rest 3rd position? Gori, Green, Lasky, Overstreet, West, Plaver, Murakami 3rd, Downton 9-4, within half a second of one another. I will say that West is just to extend that out a little bit. Let's see Caleb Pocock, swapping his first letters of features names around there. Not good, but yeah, Pocock yet to stop, but Gradwell has, and well, I think, yeah, Gradwell will get home to the end on that one. In fact, actually, so will Carlos Barresso, who's currently in 18th. So he's your highest driver who has stopped so far in 18th. There he is. Next highest is Antonio Race. He's 24th overall, who was just ahead of Gradwell. I say just ahead of 2.2 seconds. In fact, no, 4/10 even. So, well, there we go. Green is... oh, falling by the wayside a little. No, he's not. Apologies. I thought he was. Lasky is ahead of Overstreet, who is the one who's falling by the wayside against these 3. And
and they're working together, aren't they? That's clear as day.
That's the fuel-saving lift and coast there, if there ever was, Tom Dillon.
Yes, and well, now to prove us wrong, here goes KJ Lasky looking up the inside. He definitely is not a fan of his place in the order. Will overtake our fastest man on the racetrack and get himself up into 4th position. So not exactly playing ball, KJ Lasky, as he was down that straight. I think he was being smart though, because he knew if he made that space, that spot there, that he was still going to stay in slipstream of Gory. And well, it didn't really affect him too much. And in fact, all it's done is meant that Green is losing touch to this pair. So that's worked out perfectly for KJ Lasky. Fantastic drive for him. I just want to remind you where he started, right down the order. I think he was just outside the top 10, just inside the top 20. So really a decent recovery drive from him, and the podium will top this all off. They've now got to ask themselves the question, 20 minutes left in this race, 18 minutes make that, as Bobby West looks to attack Megan Overstreet. Will look to the inside line. There's not a great deal of space there. Overstreet pulls to the right-hand side to let him find the space, avoids contact, and that is Bobby West through. Superior straight line speed for him right there. But back to the point that I was making, Green's in. This is what I was going to say. You've got to start to think about your pit stops now.
Overstreet falls into, I do wonder, Tom, if she's carrying a bit of damage, because she's really lacking in that straight line speed. Of course, the drivers do have one fast repair to their name to utilise. Those two are yet to start. Chris Montgomery, he's into from 2nd in Spec 2, 15th overall. In fact, there's a bit of a gap back. So Josh Justice, who was lying 3rd in class, he climbs up through the order, but of course yet to stop. There he is. Gets himself promoted. He's now at 15 places. Yeah, Gory and Lasky saying about their recoveries. Both started, well, both up 13 places, apologies, starting 26th and 27th respectively. So they've clearly been working together to pick their way through the order. Of course, that turn 1 incident did definitely help them all out. I mean, even then, it's just blind luck, really, isn't it? You know, you've got to pick a lane and just pray to the racing gods that you're able to make it through. And, well, for those drivers, they were able to do so. Because there they are. And they're starting to really get away from Bobby West. Well, I suppose that's because, of course, we've lost Jason Green, who was like the linchpin, wasn't he, between these two, and West, who's behind. And, of course, Overstreet was in that little battle too.
Lasky is looking very racy as we see more cars, I would assume, come into the pits this time by. Is Lasky going to find a way through? Is Lasky going to force his way through all the way from outside the top 10 to the podium? And he is gaining at a rate of knots on that number 80 car. And indeed, the attack is going to come, or he's going to come into the pits. And in fact, it is the attack. I don't think you're, strictly speaking, if there were strict stewards, allowed to do that, but he has done it, and he's through into 3rd position, cutting all across the pit entry line. Now, for my mind, Tim, if you go over the pit entry line and you're all 4 wheels into the entrance to pit lane, you have to pit, but I'm sure the stewards will allow him that one.
You can get away with it in iRacing. It can be a bit dicey at times when you're getting close to that wall. These two still go side by side, not giving it an inch, and Gory back ahead of Lasky. Now, I spotted, Tom, that front left, as you look at it from the camera angle, front right for the driver of Kane Lasky is carrying a little bit of damage. That will affect his top speed. Not you necessarily guessed it as he made that move into turn 1. However, I think that's why Gory was just so easily able to waltz past him down the Red Aposta, compared to, you know, maybe other parts of the track where he's, you know, hasn't got the overspeed in that slipstream. So Lasky really working hard right now to stay in touch with Paolo Gory. Well, I spoke earlier about how we had so many Brazilians. We had 3 inside the top 4. Now it's 2 Italians in the top 3 and just 1 Brazilian.
Well, Paolo Gory, as we just mentioned, has got himself back through. So the Italian fighting hard against KJ Lasky. If I was Kane now, depending on where there are cars or where I'm going to come out, this is what your sort of crew chief app will tell you, or indeed your race voice app might tell you, then maybe he comes into the pits now and is able to help himself to that spot on the undercut. We'll see if he is indeed going to cut pit entry again. He does. That'll allow him through, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I know he's within his rights to do it in this this simulation, but from a wider racing perspective, it's my opinion that that's not part of the racetrack, so you shouldn't really be making a move there. There's a lock-up that's going to allow back around the outside Gory, and he gets through onto the curb. We've got a flurry of pit stops behind, but Gory is back through.
Murakami, West, Plaver, and Fritsch are all into the pits. They've bailed and headed to pit road. Meanwhile, those two they're still carrying on. The Kevin Estra passing the grass from Paolo Gori there to get the job done, get back ahead of Velasquez. This is a sprawling battle for third, but I do wonder, all this battling, Tom, what is it doing to them against a net result against Jason Green, who's now up to 8th after pitting on lap 12 and currently on lap 15? Where is he going to come out in all this? I think this is going to keep us guessing for quite a while. Fabio Scali still leading Spec 2 right now, although the vast majority of the field has pitted. Outside these top 7, there's your leader in Masters, Kurt Nunes. He's another driver yet to stop. But outside that top 7, all yet to stop, is just Joshua Justice. He hasn't stopped. Neither has Bradford Gould, who is 15th, and Bob Kern, who's 19th. Everyone else has stopped so far. 26, nearly 27 minutes, in fact, complete here from Interlagos. Out of 40. A fight. Wow, first time in a little while. And I do wonder if you've seen the back marker there. I think is that Andrea Fabini, possibly. Yes, it is. They've just made it pass, and I think that's maybe why these two have just bunched up a little bit, but Dantas will reel him in. Thanks to the power of Slipstream. Lasky in the pits. He's in, Tom. Finally. Just, going with you know, I knew you weren't enjoying it as a racing purist, but actually, he's headed in for a change rather than using it as an extra piece of racetrack.
Now, let me just clarify, because I don't want Kane to watch this back and get the wrong idea. I'm not criticising him. I'm criticising that particular rule, but anyway, he'll be out of the pits and should get that undercut on Gory, you would think, if he is lucky enough to come out in clean air. This is the battle for the lead. Dantas versus Panero, and well, as they get through some traffic, Dantas might be wise to pit himself here and try and get that undercut to work, because he's losing touch to Panero ever so slightly, isn't he? 12 minutes left in the race, and I think if he pits now, he'll be just in good time to get himself to the end with a reasonably short pit stop. We know that pit stops change these races, and I haven't got your opinion on it, Tim, but how would you personally prefer to run one of your average SRF Weekend Warriors races?
I prefer to run it by staying out of trouble and having a really, really good result. Knowing my ability, Tom, I think I would have been joining the likes of Simon Mayer and Jorg Marni out in the first couple of laps.
Lewis, producer, has told us or suggested something that is actually a very, very good point. Maybe you should be taking our job, Timmy, saying that Dantas is going very wide. Is that potentially him losing out on some tyre grip at this stage in the race, and it's going to affect him in terms of his prospects to win? And to be honest with you, if you look at how he's driving that car, he does look to be slightly struggling, perhaps with a bit of understeers through some of the corners. So maybe there's a slight change, or maybe there's a slight trouble, and maybe he's going to have to come into the pits and do right sides or something.
Or the flip side of the coin, Tom, is he just trying to open up the corners to not work the tyres as hard?
Well, it's one of those cases where I'm afraid to say your guess is as good as mine.
But yes, definitely. I was just trying to have a look at the track temperatures, Tom. See if that was maybe playing part of it. It's not particularly hot. 24 degrees Celsius. That for our American viewers is what, around about mid-70s in freedom units.
Just about 78 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe.
Yeah, 1 million miles off then. So it's a relatively cool track temperature. So that's not really playing part of what's going on here.
75.
However, he's 75. There we go. Working too many Americans on late night broadcasts, Tom. That's what's ingrained it into my mind. But you can see that. I mean, if Dantas is struggling, he seems to make up a lot of his time through the middle part of the track. So once you get past the Interlagos, and then once you come out of Juncal, that section there, that's where he seems to make up a lot of his time. So there's Paolo Gori still going around. He's currently in third. It's going to be interesting to see how he comes out amongst, well, I say Lasky. In fact, Green is ahead of Lasky. There it is on camera right now as our top two in. Panero and Dantas there in. Will Gory come in with them too? Well, there's a flurry of activity.
No, I forgot that you don't have any collisions in iRacing in the pit lane, so I almost had a heart attack there seeing the 29 pull in so late and almost collecting someone. But no, as Paolo Gori follows them in. We'll see now if Dantas or Panero are going to get out ahead of these two. KJ Lasky, could this turn into a battle for the lead of the race? I believe they've both pit, haven't they? As at pit exit, Panero and Dantas. Panero gets out ahead of Dantas. We perhaps expected as much. Now the question is whether Lasky and Green are going to find themselves getting through, and I don't think they are, as there they are just about coming out of the Center S's.
There's Paolo Gori. He's on pit exit, Tom. He's not going to have a good run out of the corner, though, because it's a much tighter angle being on the inside. There you go. That answers your question. Running deeper has not worked for Gori, and I think that's largely to the point of he didn't have anyone to slipstream with. And in fact, he's come out just in front of Megan Overstreet, who's in 6th. There she is. Is another driver running around in a bit of a bubble by herself. Meanwhile, behind them, there's West. Let's play that, trying to make out a place there against Flavio Andale. Murakami not too far behind. Murakami shot right down through the order, of course. Started up on the second row of the grid in 3rd. Now down to 10th. I'm just having a look. Only a second and a half down the road. Not even that. From this little group here, I think will come right up on the back of them. Is Bradford Gould? Oh, he's yet to stop. That's why. Oh, he's running in very deep, isn't it? 32 minutes. So he's got to be in this lap. I was thinking, how's he climbed 33 places? No disrespect, Bradford, whatsoever. But that'd be an astounding result for him. But that's why.
Yeah, no disrespect. It's just an incredibly unlikely achievement. I mean, 33 places would be incredible, and he'll still gain a few, I think, if he does stop. If you're running in slipstream for the majority of the race, I'd wager that you can gain quite a bit of fuel, to be honest with you. So the 32-minute mark doesn't particularly surprise me. Interlagos also doesn't strike me without having the numbers to hand as a particularly fuel-heavy track. This is Lasky on green. Lasky surely now chooses to go for the move. Surely this is gloves off stage. You're not concerned about fuel saving at this point, and KJ Lasky indeed doesn't decide to go for the move. Bobby West will go for the move, though, this time on the inside of the 145 of Vandalo. Gets that spot, 8th position for Bobby West.
Well, he's actually, I've just spotted Tom, because I was thinking, who's that in front of him? That's Les Plaver, who was behind Flavio Andalo about this point last lap. So he's jumped 2 places in the course of 1 lap as the Cheshire driver. So he's definitely flying this last stage. But I think, Tom, this is where tactics starting to come and play. It's positioning yourself that you're in the right place and the right time to make that run to the line and get the jump. We've seen it so much so far this race. Notably, that Lasky and Gori battle that we saw, where Lasky, despite having that little bit of damage to the front right as we look at it, front left of his car, I think it was, from memory. No, the opposite way around. Left-hand side as we looked at it, front right of his car. Was able to still get a massive jump on Paolo Gori through that slipstream. So, we know it's powerful in these cars. I think, as things stand at the moment, Lasky is just going to just sit here behind Green and wait for that final run out, coming out of Young Car that we're seeing now on that run to the line to make his move. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. As you watch, he's probably go straight past him now.
He's not going to. He's going to stay behind. This is risky, risky stuff, because if you keep running this, you're committing yourself to that last lap overtake, and that is never easy. There's a lot of pressure on the final lap, particularly for a high stakes position like a podium. Lasky, if anyone can do it, he can do it. But Green will be feeling pressure himself now, because he's got to basically not put a foot wrong with that car right behind him. Flavio Andalo, he's fallen back a couple of places, hasn't he? He hasn't fallen back a couple of places, rather. Alice Plaver has, as West gets through the 2 of them. And, well, that's an interesting battle. This is Scarlett on the outside, rather, of Gradwell. That's for 13th position. Gradwell on the Masters podium. Your Masters leader at the moment is Chris Murakami, by the way. And Josh Justice, he's in 16th position. He's in the Spec too. Tom, Jesus Rodriguez into the pits.
Second stop of the day, that, Tom.
Stop. Yeah, underfueled, I would assume.
Yeah, he was only stationary for about 8 seconds last time, so that was a massive underfuel from him. He's had to do it again. In doing so, Bradford, we said about being up 33 places. Where did he come out? Well, he came out in 22nd. He's benefited from Jesus Rodriguez having to pit again, and he's come back out into 21st, up 23 spots. There's Ian Gibson trying to throw some shapes on Stephen Mitchell. Get him moved on. Needs to be careful though, because Nelson and Love are right behind him, and also they're Masters drivers. Mitchell being a Masters driver too. They'd love to nick a place in class, this 6th in class in Masters. Love to nick one off him for certain. Gibson, well, it's always the trouble, isn't it? If you don't get your move done when everyone's so tight and so competitive like this, you don't gain a place. You end up losing a place, and ooh, are they gonna? Is Lasky, do you think, maybe just backing? Sorry, Green just backing out a little bit and trying to let Lasky through? It's a game of chicken almost.
It could be. The two of them are pretty inseparable at the moment. They've got plenty of time to play with as well in terms of going behind. So could be a game of chicken between Green and Lasky. We'll wait and see. Will Lasky back himself to defend into that final lap though? That would be my next question. There he is, and you can see the lift and coast being employed. I mean, if you're Jason Green, are you going to start to think, maybe I'm going to start to play a few games here? You know, get on the brakes about 25 meters early. See if I can just let Kane J. Lasky know that if he's going to make the move, he's going to have to do it quickly. Never mind, because Kane J. Lasky slides it up the inside, decides that he can back himself defending for the last couple of laps, and he's going to get that position. So now I can say that that can of worms has been opened and that it is gloves off between the two of them.
Well, Tom, to use, just taking your hypothesis there into account, I think on the run into turn 1, San Andreas, I think that's what Green was doing. I think he was trying to let Lasky pass, and Lasky was saying, no, I don't want to lead. I want to be second. And I think getting there, Green, just allowing him to come alongside and then just getting on the brakes early, let him pass, so he can be in that powerful position. But then, like you say, it's a big old gamble. You need to absolutely nail that final lap. So just look back from Jim Brewster right now. Where's Jim? He's on. Yeah, oh, there we go. They are just behind us, aren't they? That's who we're looking at. That's why producer Lewis has given us this camera angle. And what are they going to do? They go, well, Lasky on the inside there. They appear across the crest of the hill. As well, Green just backs out of it once again.
This is the final lap as well. This should be the final lap as well, shouldn't it, Tim?
Oh, wow, spotted. White flag in the air. Yeah, you're spot on. Oh,
yes,
no.
It will be. I shouldn't second guess myself. A minute and a half to go.
No, I think you are right to second guess yourself, because Marco Pinero leads, and he is a third of the way around the track. I think you're right, Tom. I think
so this is it then. As Lasky's getting overtaken around the outside, he holds onto it, runs wide. Green all the way onto the curbs. There's no real harm. They're going to stay side by side virtually throughout the entirety of this Sector 1 into Sector 2. Can Green find that space around the outside line? Lasky is going to hold on to it for the time being. This for the podium. This for the recovery drive of dreams from Kane J. Lasky on what we should see as the final lap. The question is, as we should take a break from this battle for a moment, I want to see where Pinero is, Tim.
He's 2/3 of the way around the track, and I think he's backed out of this a little bit once on. 30 seconds left on the clock. A third of a lap. Oh, I tell you what, this is going to be knife-edge stuff if he can make it across the line in time or not for us to go one more time here at Interlagos. It's going to be close to over 20 seconds. Oh, I don't know which way this is going to go, Tom. I think he's backing out of it. I think he's... Yeah, I don't know.
Not from here, not from here. I don't think... Oh, it's checker flag. Out. It's going to be checker flag, but how? Because he's going to cross the line in time. There's 4 seconds to go. He crosses it, he's crossed it before the 40 minutes is up. What has happened there? It's KJ Lasky. He's going to try and hold on to 3rd position. What can Green do around the outside? They photo finish to the line. He crossed the line before the 40 minutes was up, and he's still taken checkered.
It was, he must have literally just about done it. Oh, wow, incredibly close stuff. Kept us guessing right to the line as well. Murakami wins Masters. Scarlett is going to win. Well, he tries to nick a place right at the line off of Gradwell. Just under a tenth separating those two. As Josh Justice is going to pick up the Spec 2 victory. There comes McCain across the line, second in class. Another run to the line between Cathcart and Ken Batley there. Those two incredibly close. What definitely is trying to pick up on all of these as they come across the line. I'm not sure if there's anyone else going to gain any places. I'm looking further down through the order, Tom. Oh, it could be, yes, done.
So I've watched it in slow motion, Tim. He crossed the line at 39.58. The checkered flag should not have flown then.
Oh.
It was clear as day.
Wow.
So isn't that interesting?
Well, clearly iRacing thought that the pacing must have been... Well, he was dealing a decent pace on that last lap of 47.7 for Pinero on that final lap, Tom. So...
I should say it slightly depends. Which one is our timing line here? Because there's two lines. There's the big, like, sort of... the big line here, if you see this first one, and then there's that second one that's about 10 meters down the road. This one, then that one. Which one is the line?
I think it's the second. It's wherever the flag waver is. That is your finish line.
Well, the flag waver's on the first one, isn't he?
Tom, you're really digging deep into my circuit knowledge now. I'm trying to... Wow. Either way...
Bizarre.
Marco Pinero wins, and well, it must have thought that he was going to get around. You know, he wasn't going to get around in time, and that's why it must have flown the white flag, thinking that was it, going to be it, and that's why it ran so close to the clock. But I mean, if it had gone another lap, I think there might have been a few people very, very close on fuel. Either way, let's run you through some results. Marco Pinero wins. Dantas second. Lasky third in the end over Jason Green. Fourth. Paolo Gori. Great result for him in fifth. Then Overstreet West. Plaver. Murakami wins Masters. Ninth overall. Flavio Dalo going to run out of the top 10, Tom.
And in 11th spot is Antonio Rice Jeanette, Jeff Richter in 13th. Tom Gradwell rounds out the Masters podium. Fabio Scarli, 14th. Kurt Nunes, 15th. 16th, Josh Justice. Alan McCain recovers to second in Spec 2. And Brad Cathcart in 18th.
Who is... There we go. 19th is Ken Batley and Bradford Gould 20th. Then we've got Montgomery, Vogler, Mitchell, Gibson, Love, Nelson, Rodriguez. Disappointing from him. And Gianni Longin takes you up to 28th, Tom.
Then 29th is Bob Kern, Phil Berry, Jeff Vubka, 30th and 31st. Adam Bradshaw finishes in 32nd. Andrea Favini, Aidan Campbell, 33rd and 34th. Dan Wood and Jim Brewster next up. Then it's Callum Pocock and George Camillo. Michael Vaglini and Charlie Vaccaro round out the top 40.
We're deep into, I think, the retirements now, aren't we? Leandro Piero is 41st, having retired on lap 13. Barreto, lap 12. We lost Clement on lap 9. Dudu Castro on lap 6. Look at that. In the space of 7 laps, 3 Brazilians gone here. Marnie, lap 2. And Simon Mayer, we lost him on lap 1. Let's have a bit of a chat to some of our drivers. First off, we've got Chris Murakami, your winner in Masters. Chris.
Hi.
Well, Chris, I mean, I think am I right in saying your best ever qualifying in Weekend Warriors?
You know, I think I've had a second and a third before. So
I was trying to think. Yeah, it was close. Yeah, I couldn't remember if you managed to grab a second before. But even so, I mean, starting well up the grid. But I mean, still the winning Masters, but didn't quite work out for you in race. Just talk us through those opening couple of laps, because it seemed. But I know it gets a bit crazy in Weekend Warriors at the best of times, but even by our own standards, I mean, that was a little bit hairy, it seemed, on that run down to turn 1.
Yeah, you know, when I look behind me and the guys behind me, they're all fast. They're just like, ooh, they're going to be coming. And they did. And so, yeah, I just kept on falling back. And it was, and then there was, I think on the 4th lap or 3rd lap, there was an accident in turn 1 and I got caught up into it. I got a 4X and it put me up there to almost like, I think 8X. And So the rest of that whole thing, I had to just kind of trail the guys and stay out of trouble, which I luckily did.
And I mean, you say about having all those really fast guys behind you. All the more credit to yourself in terms of that qualifying lap and the time you set. I mean, we spoke about it during commentary in qualifying. Top 20. We said about Antonio Race that he qualified 21st. And we all know he is no slouch. You've had some great battles with him for this season, but that top 20 was completely and utterly stacked. I mean, I get, I mean, from sort of that point onwards, you say just having to play the numbers game a little bit. Were you tempted to try and alter your pit strategy a little bit because of that, or get out in some fresh air, or was it just a case of just see what happens and work with it on the fly?
Oh well, that was pretty safe. I can't recall who I was behind at Alice, and pretty much I was keeping that pace, so I felt comfortable there. And we actually started getting a little gap between um, the guy behind me, so I felt good. So just continue all the way, because if you don't get a draft, you'll lose time. So that was my whole strategy, and just not get another someone bump me with the 4X, and that would pit me pretty much out.
Well, congratulations, your first win of the season in Masters, and from my notes, second time on the podium this season. Yeah, third at Phillip Island. Congratulations, that's Chris Murakami there.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Tom, nobody else
Well, I
joining us.
have one more final point to make on the
Please
start
do.
line, finish line controversy. So it does appear that it is the second line. If that is the case, and I think he just clipped it as it switched to 40, I'd need a different angle, but there you go. Either way, a fantastic drive from our race winner. And to be honest with you, I don't think an extra lap would have changed much in terms of his chances at winning.
No, I completely. I think that's one thing we can definitely agree on. But other than that, behind them, I mean that bit against them really, really shook things up, and a real shame it did. Because I think, well, I dread to think what the finish we could have had would have been like. But in the end, Marco Pinero walks away with a victory. Yeah, to make it 3 wins on the bounce, and in fact, that is his fifth win from 7 so far this season. Astounding stuff from him. But whilst we round things out here for Super Sunday, the second of the weekend warriors, thanks very much for joining us. I've been Tim Cox with Tom Dillon and Lewis Wright, and we'll see you in a week's time on the tour. It's to North America and to Charlotte. We'll see you then. Good night.